Hey everyone, it's Matt, and welcome to part 6 of my series on myelofibrosis called Slayin That MF, the Gift of Life series. So, I usually try to be upbeat, always give a positive message, give positive updates, and I'll always try to stick to that. But I also want those of you who do not live with or MF, I want y'all to understand that life is not always apple pie and blue skies, no matter what our sunny disposition may suggest. It's tough. It's really tough. And there are things that can be very frustrating. For instance, now, again, look at me. I'm not a big guy. I've never been a big guy, although back in 2011 I had gotten all the way up to 190. And prior to that, and even after that short period, I was about 160 to 165. And of course, since I had the transplant in November of last year, I've dropped about 30 pounds or so. So I'm in the 130 range now. So naturally, all I hear these days from the doctor, from my girlfriend, from other loved ones, I hear about how I have to eat. What did you eat today? How much did you eat today? You gotta eat, so forth, so on. And everybody's coming from a good place, but not everybody understands that sometimes it's hard to eat. Immediately after the transplant, for sure, it's hard to eat. They try and force you to eat. I shouldn't say force. When you're in the hospital, they encourage you. They want you to eat. They also want you to drink these Ensures or Boost, and I've hated those ever since I tried the first one. I did find the Boost that I like, though, so I'm drinking that daily. But anyway, it's just not that easy sometimes to eat a ton of food. And so I want people to understand that something, okay, I'm going to assume, based on some of the statistics that are reported publicly, I'm going to assume that a good portion of those of you viewing this, you might be a little bit overweight. And so imagine, if you will, people who are telling you about how you're overweight, you need to lose weight, and so forth and so on. When you're going to diet, all sorts of things like that. And you become a bit sensitive to it, understandably so. Well, I can't speak for everyone who's in my situation, but I'm not going to lie, I get a little bit sensitive to the whole weight thing. I don't want to hear about how I got to put on weight. I know what I got to do. But again, people are coming from a loving place, and I know I have to do better in receiving it. But I want you all to know, those of you who don't live with this disease, it's not easy. It's not easy. I promise I will try to eat more. In fact, I'm hungry right now, so when this is over with, I'll get to it. So what am I talking about when I say when this is over with? I'm wired up. I'm at the bone marrow transplant clinic right now, and they're giving me platelets. I had a low platelet count this morning. I wasn't expecting that. And so they've kept me to give me more platelets. And so here I sit. So one of the frustrating things that happened today, I got here for an 8:30 appointment. Took them an hour to even bring me, bring me back here, do the vitals and so forth. And then After that, of course, you accept it. There's going to be this waiting period because it takes about an hour or so before they get lab results back. I get all of that. But nobody ever came to me, gave me an update. And finally, around 12:30, that's when I said, hey, what's going on? And so they went and checked, and they come back and they said, oh, well, we have your lab results are in. We have to keep your platelets. Wait a minute. I've been here since 8:30. Y'all got me about 9:30. So you figure 10:45, 11 at the latest. And it was after 12:30 when I find this out. So of course I'm not happy because I thought today was going to be a pretty short day. Come get labs, see the nurse, adios. But that's not the case. And so I'm here, and most of the day is going to be shot by the time I get out of here, which will be around 2:30, somewhere around there. But the bothersome part is the lack of communication, and usually they're better than this at this hospital, at this clinic. So I don't like that too tough. I'm a strong believer in communication. But anyway, that's that. Otherwise, overall, I'm feeling okay. But I do want to share with you my last visit, which was last Thursday. So, a doctor who's not my doctor, but works very closely with him, she comes in and she's explaining to me, okay, so when you have a bone marrow transplant, again, understand, chemo kills your cells, and then the transplant gives you the donor cells or bone marrow. But meanwhile, you're still building up bone marrow too, because when this first happens, you have no cells. It takes time for the donor cells to mature. It takes time for your cells to mature. So there's this tug of war going on between the two sets of cells. Which one is going to be dominant? You want the donor cells to be dominant. And that hasn't been the case for me. And so this doctor comes in Thursday, and basically what she said was, we can't do anything more for you at this point. Giving you another bone marrow transplant, it's going to be less than a 50-50 chance that it'll be successful. We will continue to support you with blood transfusions. Well, the way it sounded to me was, this is it, curtains. And so I even said that to my girlfriend. I said, I think this is it. But meanwhile, Dr. Zongi comes in, and he painted a little bit better picture. And he says, no, he says, even with your bone marrow growing, he said, we want the donor's bone marrow to be dominant, but yours might become dominant. He says, this other doctor has a patient similar to me. The donor's bone marrow was not dominant. It never matured. But his bone marrow, his blood cells, did mature. And so here it is 5 years later, and the guy's still alive. So Dr. Zoga says to me, we're going to monitor you for the next 3 to 6 months. I said, okay. So we'll see where we are in 3 months. I'm hoping there's improvement. If not, depending on how much improvement there's been, that'll determine whether I'm even going to fool around with another 3 months. You know, I might just say, you know what, I don't want to do this. But we will see. We will see. And so there's hope. And so I got to hold on to hope for now. But it's not easy. It's not easy. And I always knew this was going to be a long road, but boy, I've done this the hard way. I really have. And not by design, certainly not. But it is what it is, right? So anyway, like I said, I don't want this to be a down message, but you want to be transparent about these things too. The only way I can really help those of you who might be going through this, or maybe you're a loved one of someone who's going through it, this is transparency. And don't get me wrong, because I feel good, I feel fine. The good news is my most recent lab results do show that my blood cells do not have myelofibrosis in them. So that's a plus. So if my marrow dominates and I'm continuing to build my own blood cells and there's no myelofibrosis, that's fine. That'll be fine. So in spite of everything, there is hope. So I'm going to hang my head on that. And that's really it. So I hope you got something out of this video. Glad you got to the end. Please like and subscribe if you're listening and viewing on YouTube. If you're checking this out on Facebook, please also like. All right? And I hope to see you back here again real soon. Be blessed. Do something nice for somebody.